it's our money or lack of money that makes decisions for us. If you don't have enough money in your account and you want to go fly, give your family a vacation, your money just told you no, or your lack of money just told you no. And hearing him say that was so crazy because I was like, I've never actually heard someone say your lack of money makes decisions for you, but that's so true.
Who wants to worship a God that allows his people to be broke? If you're a struggling Christian, you're out here trying to minister to people, and people look at you and they say, man, like, that's not enticing to me. Like, maybe like your family health and your family wealth and your community and relational wealth is there, but your financial wealth is not there. Like, that might be a turnoff for them.
Yeah.
Versus it's like, why not have every area of your life healthy? And why not have wealth in every area of your life? What's going on, everybody? It is Elijah here with my beautiful wife, Avrielle, Muse, and we are back with season 1, episode 3, Mornings with my Muse. Welcome to the pod. Today, we're going to be talking about what exactly, babe?
Money and mindset. Could this be the reason why you're broke?
Money mindsets. Is your mindset, is the way you think about money, the reason why you're not at the financial place that you want to be at right now? All right.
Yeah.
So where did this topic come from? Why are we talking about this? And where are we going to start off at?
So the reason this topic even came about was because Elijah and I have been having a lot of conversations around money.
Yep.
And the specific conversations we've been having is surrounding mindset and childhood. And recently I went to Elijah and I basically told him, I'm like, man, I think I have this negative belief about money. And we had this whole in-depth conversation, and we ended up getting back to my childhood and figuring out where that belief originated. And he helped me dissect it, and it was so helpful. I'm so grateful for him because he has such a big belief around money, and I'm still learning to get there. I definitely have, over the years, grown so much in that, but I still have a lot more to go, and I'm just really grateful for him. And I think it would be such a good conversation because so many of us grow up in homes where we've had certain experiences with our parents surrounding money, or how the way they talked about money, or just negative things that happened surrounding money. And if we don't go back and rewrite that narrative, or even realize where a lot of our current beliefs stem from, then what ends up happening is we're living life through that lens. Yeah. And just to make sure that we're not, we have to sometimes go back and realize, hey, that's actually where that belief originated, and I want to uproot that seed and plant a new one. Yeah. So I think what would be good is for us to talk about just the specific experiences we had as kids. Yeah, I have, I think, one or two major ones. So I'm excited for us to get into it. Do you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
Yeah, I'll start off.
Yeah, awesome. Okay,
So growing up, I was fortunate to, I think, have positive money mindset seeds planted. I grew up in a decently well-off, like, we weren't rich, but my parents both worked good jobs. We're a middle-class family. My mom was a computer programmer, so she worked for the state of California growing up. My dad was like a pipe fitter and welder, which was, it's like, what do you call it? Just manual labor. But it's a trade job. Like, he went to a trade school, got a certification. So, there would be times where he'd be working 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. He might make $40 an hour, $50 an hour plus overtime. So he made good money.
Yeah.
And so I was fortunate enough to have two parents that made good money. We didn't have a lot of conversations surrounding money. Like, money wasn't something we were always talking about. But I think when we did talk about it, it was in a positive light. So the few instances that I remember that really stick with me to this day, just like me starting to understand what money is, how to use it, how it impacts me in my life. The first thing was, like, I had chores growing up. So, maybe 6, 7 years old, my parents started me with chores around the house, cutting the grass outside with my dad, doing projects around the house, making sure you clean your bath, all that good stuff, right? Pretty standard. And so, they would give me a weekly allowance, whatever, for doing chores. Maybe when I was 6 or 7 as well, right around that time, they took me one weekend randomly. It was like, hey, let's go in the car. We're going to go out real quick. And they took me to our local credit union. I remember Sacramento Credit Union. I grew up in Sacramento, California. The Sacramento Credit Union was like 10 minutes down the road from my house. And it was like, hey, take whatever money you had from the piggy bank, from your little stash spots in your room, and we're going to open you a savings account. So like from the time I was 6 or 7 years old, I had a bank account. I opened up a savings account, and maybe I might have only had $15 in there or something, $20. But I distinctly remember that whether it was like every week or once a month or something, every couple of months, it was like, yo, whatever money you have, whatever money that you make, you're going to take a portion of that. And this wasn't even like an optional thing. They was like, you're going to take some of the money that you make and you're going to put it in your savings account.
That's so good.
You know, so it was a forced savings, and at the time I definitely did not understand why I had to do that at all. I probably wanted Hot Wheels and Legos and I played sports. So I probably wanted like the nice sports gear and stuff for my football and baseball teams, but they made me take some of my money out and put it in a bank account. And I think that from an early age planted seeds of, hey, no matter what happens, get in this habit. It built a good habit. Yeah. Even though I didn't have the understanding of how it would impact me later in life, it built the habit before I had the understanding, which I think in this instance was a great thing.
Yeah.
All right, and then one other memory that I had that really stands out, that was a positive one, and then another one was more negative, was when I got into high school. We were living in Atlanta, and I went to high school in like 08, 09, when like there was a global recession. And so because my dad was in manual labor with construction in the construction field, in 08, 09, like when the recession hit, like pretty much all construction when it came to commercial buildings, residential, all that stuff just dried up, slowed down completely. So there was like maybe a year or two span where he just really couldn't find work. I remember my parents now telling me they had this mortgage that wasn't the best, that fluctuated in the rates. So same time the job market was slowing down, they ended up having to pay more for their mortgage, and it was just like a recipe for disaster. So we ended up losing our house. Our house got foreclosed on. Ended up having to move. Had to transfer. Well, didn't have to transfer schools, but ended up transferring schools when we lost our house. And I just remember that being a super negative experience, just because at that time I think I was sophomore in high school. Kids were starting to get their own cars. You know, like I think I still wanted, not that I had the expectation, but there was a lot of wants. And because like just in the high school dynamic, you see kids with J's and with nice clothes and with new electronics and once again playing sports. You see kids with nice cleats and all visors, just like dumb stuff that you don't really need, but that you want as a kid. I wasn't able to get any of those things in that time, and then just really had to work for all of those things myself. I think it just planted seeds. I don't know if they were necessarily negative, but that, hey, if you want anything in this life, you better make sure you can go get it yourself, because you don't know what's going to happen, you know, with family, with friends, with whatever. And so in high school, I started finding ways to make money. Luckily, I was, musician, so I was able to play for some churches, and I was able to make some money other ways as well that weren't necessarily legal. Hey, just was a young black kid in Atlanta and was trying to get it by any means necessary. So, we was out here in the streets trying to make money. And in the moment, it seemed negative, but now, like, I'm so grateful for those experiences, for both, like the positive and the negative, because I think the positive and the negative both shaped my viewpoint of money, my mindset on money. One built up good habits. One, I think, forced me to have a work ethic. And so they kind of both, negative and positive situations, ended up both working out in my favor.
Yeah, I think I'd also say, though, because it happened at a time when you were not as mature, you didn't handle it the best way, which is why you went to the illegal route, to make money. And I think you didn't know how to process that sudden change of, right. Oh, we're doing good, we're making money, we're middle class and whatever. And then it suddenly changes and I have to switch schools and my friends are in a different place and I can't have the money to get all these things that I want. It's such a sudden change that, of course, you felt like, okay, I need to put this in my control and I need to go after and do what I need to do. And you ended up doing illegal things to make the money. And I think you're right in the sense of it still birthed this thing on the inside of you of hey, I need to do what I need to do to make the money. Like, you have a crazy work ethic even to this day. But I think that there also is a little bit of a, like, I always have to be in control, which is a little bit negative, because when you felt like you lost control at that time as a kid, you were like, oh my goodness, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to make my money.
Okay,
you
so
know?
so when you say I need to be in control of finances, where specifically do you see that being negative?
I think the where I see it being negative is when it gets to a point of not really realizing that God is our ultimate provider. So for example, yes, we are in control, and we're going to talk about that. It's good to create avenues for wealth and doing as much as you can in your control to bring income into our home, right? But I think that if you don't really recognize that the Lord is your shepherd and he's the ultimate one in control,
Right.
then what ends up happening is you start to believe that you're the provider and not God, you know? So I think it's just really important for us to always have that in the back of our minds in general, not even you, I just think all of us, because it's can become really easy when you're the one that's constantly bringing the money in to forget that, no, I'm not the provider. God's the provider. You know? So I think that's really important as well.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you for sharing that story, babe. I love that story. And I actually really appreciate you sharing it, because a lot of people, I'm sure, that listen have had similar experiences as a kid. You know, not everybody has the luxury of being raised in a good, you know, income family or middle class, 2-parent household. You know, that's not always the norm. So for me, I was raised with my mom and dad. I grew up in Mississauga, and we were very much Canada. We were very much a middle class family as well, until my mom, she ended up coming home and just being home with us and being with the kids. And at that time, you know, from what I remember, things started to get really, really hard. And I remember I had a newspaper job, and I was really excited about this newspaper job. I think I was like 12 or 13. I was super young. And I was really excited about it because I was like, okay, well, things are really tight in our home. So this is the way that I can, you know, if there's any little thing that I want as a kid, you know, this will be the way that I can make money. And I remember one time we had worked for a few months at that point, and we went to my mom, because at the time my mom was the one like collecting the money for us. And we went to my mom, or I think it was my parents. I'm pretty sure it was my mom. I can't remember, either both of them or separately. But I went to her, and we were just like, hey, can we get our money? We really want to buy something. It was me and my little brother that were doing the newspaper job. And she shared with us that she had to use it because things were so tight. And, you know, she was very apologetic about it. But I remember feeling really, really sad and down about that, because we had worked for a few months and felt like we didn't reap the rewards of that. And I didn't realize until recently, when I was talking to Elijah, that planted a seed in my life of scarcity. Because even for me, growing up and always hearing my parents say, well, if we could get it for you, we would, or we don't have enough money for that, or we don't have it for that. Like, I don't blame them. And at the end of the day, that was just the situation they were in. But hearing we don't have, we can't get that, planted this huge seed in my mind of, you can't get it. If you want something, you can't get it. Just hearing that all the time as a child just is so defeating. Yeah. And I think now that I'm older, I realize that a lot of the way that I see things is through that lens of scarcity. Oh, can I get that? Oh, is that possible for me? And a lot of times I see things with a ceiling because of those childhood experiences surrounding money. And even with that newspaper job story, I worked really hard. The newspaper job was no joke, okay? Like, I remember packing so many flyers, like having to walk all the way around the block and come back home, pick up as many newspapers as our hands could carry in the snow. Like, guys, Canada is not summer all year round, okay? It's mostly winter all year round. But we had a lot of cold days delivering newspapers in the rain and the snow, and having to walk all the way around the block, come back home, pick up the newspapers. It was just a lot. And we had to do that. I think it was like once a week, or maybe once every other week, but I'm pretty sure it was once a week. And just knowing the amount of work that went into it, and we never ended up getting the fruit of our reward, was really hurtful.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, my parents were just in that spot where that's just where they were. It just is what it is. They had to use the money, you know, to pay bills and stuff. But even now I'm realizing I have this question in my mind, or had this question in my mind of, oh, if I work hard, will I see fruit? And that's something Elijah really helped me dissect recently when we were talking about that whole situation. And I just really loved his take on it.
So essentially, like, I think the thing that you were struggling with was, in the past, I've experienced working hard. I've put in the time, I put in the effort, I put in the energy. I've worked hard for this thing, and I had an expected outcome. And even there was an agreement that I would get paid X amount of dollars, right?
Right.
And you did the work, you were paid, you know, your parents who were responsible for keeping the money held on to it. And then when it came time for you to make a withdrawal and to experience the benefits of that, you didn't get the benefits. So then essentially, like, I think that created this belief that sometimes when I work hard and when I fulfill my end of a bargain, right? When I try, sometimes things will be taken away from me. Even when I'm owed those things. Like, even when I deserve those things, they'll be taken away from me. And so I think it's interesting because it's something that you've held on to for 10 plus years, but
more than that,
right,
20
more,
plus years,
but wasn't even aware of it.
Yeah.
Like, it was subconscious. And so I think a lot of our money beliefs and money mindsets are subconscious or unconscious, and we just hold on to them.
Yeah.
Like, they're in our pocket and we don't even know that they're there, a lot of times weighing us down.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, if I had a 10 to 25 pound dumbbell in my pocket and I'm just leaning and like my leg is hurting, but I don't know why, I'm just gonna be walking through life struggling.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same thing with our beliefs. It's like, we got all these heavy burdens and maybe negative beliefs that are in our pockets that we're just carrying, and we're unaware of that.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until, the last couple weeks where you were really just doing some introspection, some self-reflection, and you said, why do I believe this? Or like, where do these feelings come from when it comes to hard work?
Yeah.
Because it really started from the feelings.
Yeah.
And then from the feelings, like, why is it when it comes to hard work, I doubt that I will receive the things that I'm owed, or, I doubt that I'll receive anything when it comes to working hard. So you unpack that, and then that got into, okay, this memory keeps popping up.
Yeah.
And so from this memory, you asked yourself, and we talked about it, what's the belief that was formed? Like, because you didn't even, it wasn't even a thing where it's like, oh yeah, I remember this, and this is what I believe. It was more so, this is a memory that stands out. Why do I believe this?
Yeah.
And then from the why do I believe it, you were able to, because you pretty much had this fleshed out before you even came to me. I feel like. I
feel like you helped me so much.
Yeah.
I think I kept remembering the memory, and you helped give me a lot of language.
Right, yeah, language for it.
Yeah.
But you did most of the work. Yeah, 98, 99% of the work.
Yeah.
And so, from the memory, you were able to say, okay, I believe that because of this situation, when I work hard, I might not get anything from it. And so, from us talking through that, I think one of the recurring themes that our conversations have, like one of the results of our conversations have been that your experience of life or of a situation does not mean that that's a principle in life.
Yeah.
Right? So what happens is, like, a lot of times people will experience something negative, or even sometimes they'll experience something positive. And because of their experience in that one situation, they'll think, okay, 9 times out of 10, if I do this thing, I'm going to get this result. And it could be on the negative and positive side. So like for you, you worked really hard with this childhood situation. And when it came to you getting a withdrawal, you getting the benefits of your hard work, they weren't there. You didn't get your benefits, right? So now you believe, if I work hard, I might not see the results that I was expecting, or I might not see any positive results. So why work hard?
Right.
On the opposite end, I know a story I've heard many, just entrepreneurs, well, I feel like all my stories are from entrepreneurs, say is like, let's say you go to a casino and it's your first time going to a casino and you bring $10,000, we go to Vegas. I bring $10,000 and I say, hey, I'm betting on black, and I bet on black. the ball goes, it spins, it whirls around, whatever, and it lands on black. And I make maybe 10x my money. I go from 10,000 to 100,000 off of one bet. I might say, yo, I got luck, or I know this game. Like, I'm good. I could just keep running it back. But just because I succeeded one time out of 10 does not mean that that is a good practice, or that the principle is, you know what you're doing, and every time you do this, you're going to win money. No, most likely, if I tried 10 times, or if I tried 100 times, the majority of the time, if you bet in a casino, you're probably gonna lose.
Right.
So you can't take one experience and use it as a principle for life.
Yeah, and I really love that you said that, because one of the things you were also pointing out to me is when we make those experiences principle in our lives, what ends up happening is we also start to look for confirmation. An example he used that I really appreciated at the time was, he was saying, Ave, you've worked hard and you have fruit of some of the things that you've done when you've worked hard. And he was
Corporate
just essentially
jobs.
saying, corporate jobs. You've been promoted several times when you used to work corporate. He was like, that was a fruit of you working hard. And I was like,
Social
that's
media.
true. He was like, social media.
You've done 40-day challenges, 30-day challenges where you've posted 40 pieces of content, 45, 30 pieces of content. And literally, 3 years ago, you were at 1,000 something followers on IG.
Yeah. And
3 years ago, you were at what, 200 subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah.
Now you're over 1,000. Yeah, you're over
That's
4,000.
true. That's true.
Almost at 5,000.
Yeah. And I think hearing him remind me of those moments made me realize how much I do focus in on the negatives.
Experiences, yeah.
And it's so easy to do that when your brain is constantly searching for confirmation bias because of this subconscious thing that you've been carrying in your heart, in your mind for years. Yeah. And that was really helpful, because now I'm going to actively look for things that confirm the positive, which is, no, if I do work hard, I do see fruit. Mm-hmm. So I just love that you touched on not making your experience the principle. And that's why we need to go back and actually take inventory of those experiences and rewrite the narrative.
Yeah.
So that was really, really good for me and super helpful. Mm-hmm. I will say that some of the positives was just having my dad in the home and seeing how hard he worked. But not only that, he would constantly tell me, no, you need to save money. You need to save money. You need to save money. And obviously I didn't, like I didn't listen to him. I was a kid. I was young.
Married into debt.
Yeah, I wish I did, but I just didn't listen to him. But those were some positive things that, there were things that were said to me. But I think even as I'm thinking about this, I'm like, I wonder if there is also a piece as a kid being like, okay, you're telling me to save money. You were telling me to do this and do this. But why are we struggling?
Yeah.
I wonder if
why should I take your word when it comes to money?
I wonder if maybe there was a little piece of that. I'm not saying that's what it was. I don't know. But I'm just wondering that if there was a little piece of me that didn't take advice because I saw the situation we were in and it didn't feel positive. Yeah. And knowing that that was a situation for so many years, I don't know if I just felt like by the time I could work my own job and have my own bank account and could do what I wanted, I was just so tired of feeling restricted all the time that I think I just wanted to live my life, to run up credit cards, run up everything.
She ran them up, y'all.
Random things. And I think I remember when I met Elijah.
I didn't own a single credit card. I did not have a single credit card.
Elijah was just always good with money. And I remember when I met this man, I was just like, I know if I stick beside him, I'm going to be good. No, seriously, because it wasn't even like he was rich. He wasn't. But his mindset was rich. He had such a rich mindset. He would be reading these books like Think and Grow Rich and all these books. Like, you read some Tony Robbins money book.
Yeah, I think Money Master the Game, something like that.
Yeah, just the way that you were just such a personal development junkie, and I just admired you so much, and I still do. Yeah. So I think that that's something that we could talk about as well, is just some of the things that you did that did help impact your mindset.
Yeah, that's a good place to go. So I think one thing, even before it came to personal development, one other memory that pops up for me now as we're talking about it is like, even in high school when my family started to kind of struggle financially, I remember when I was working and, just trying to make money out here, I think by the time I was maybe freshman, sophomore, somewhere around there, I had a bank account, had probably a checking savings account, something like that. And I remember I always had more than $1,000. And I'm pretty sure that was something that my parents like told me, was like, hey, bare minimum, always have $1,000 in your savings account. And so I remember like going throughout high school, I always had more than $1,000 in my bank account, just stashed away just in case, I needed something. So like, when it came to me buying my first car, I used that money to buy my car and all those things. But thinking back on it now, and even I just heard another podcast with a guy talking about this. So I've learned in the last, 5, 6 years, 7 years, something like that, that most Americans don't even have $1,000 saved up, right?
Oh, that's
it's like
crazy.
50 or 60% of American households don't even have $1,000 in savings, right? And so I think when I think about that dynamic that the average person, the average family has, and then like, man, I had that in high school. Like when I wasn't even working a full-time job.
Yeah.
I think that helps me to realize that what seems hard to most people is actually not that hard.
Yeah.
It takes habits.
Yeah.
And so I think like nowadays, I'm like, oh, the average, like the thing that's hard for the average household or average family is actually pretty easy. And so like even I think when it came to, I remember like the first time that I thought I even maybe heard from a millionaire, read something about a millionaire, as soon as I read about it, I think it was Dean Graziosi. I read a How to Make Millions in Real Estate book by Dean Graziosi. And that and like, what's his name? Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Those were two like huge mindset shifts when it came to finances for me when I was in university and college. And when I read those books, as soon as I was reading, I was like, oh yeah, that's gonna be me. Like, it wasn't even a question of, oh, could I do that? Can I be a millionaire? Can I be like them? Can I make money? It was like, nah, I'm gonna do it. It's just, how long is it gonna take to get there? And I think a part of it was already building up positive habits and having positive experiences.
Yeah.
Because I think like, regardless of what it is, whether you're playing sports or whether you're on a job, it's like every milestone that you hit and every positive experience that you have in any field builds up your confidence in that field.
Yeah.
So I think like by the time I got to college or whatever and started reading the personal development things, I think I had enough positive experiences to where I knew I can make money. Like whether I'm working for somebody else or whether I'm working for myself, I'm going to make money. I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be a millionaire. Like there's no doubt about it in my mind. And even like, I think my family gave me an opportunity, and I don't think they thought about it like this or I thought about it like this at the time, but they gave me they gave me an opportunity to flex my entrepreneurial muscles.
Yeah.
So like in high school, my dad had like a riding lawnmower, and and he, I don't even remember. I guess it was my idea. I was trying to make some extra money or whatever, and the neighborhood we were living in, I was like, "Hey, Dad, like, can I use the lawnmower? Use the weed eater?" Because shoot, he had me cutting grass since the time I was 6, so I definitely knew how to cut grass. And I was like, "Yo, can I use the lawnmower or whatever? And I'm just gonna go around to the neighbor's house and ask him if I can cut the grass." And I was charging like $50 or something per yard, and was making money that way from a kid.
Yeah.
So it's like I didn't know that was entrepreneurship, but looking back on it now, I was like, oh yeah, I had like 8-10 yards in my neighborhood. I was cutting cutting people's grass every 2 weeks. I was making a decent little amount of money from that business, quote unquote. And I think like all of those things, like whether you're aware of it or not, they help build your confidence. So
yeah, I think upbringing is so important.
It is, yeah.
Because your parents, even to this day, are incredibly entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
They have a very successful nonprofit company.
Yep.
They're very successful with flipping homes and real estate.
Which they started later on in life. Like they've started that within the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And now they own 5 properties, something like that. I'm like, yo, y'all should have been buying houses from when I was growing up. But
no, but still, your parents had like a drug and alcohol program and
transitional
housing.
They had a
Your
nonprofit.
parents have always been very entrepreneurial, and I think you seeing that growing up has done wonders for you mentally as well. And I think just having good examples in your home is life changing.
And I would say that it doesn't even need to be in your home. You just need to be exposed.
That's true.
Like exposure is the key. It's I think it's easiest when it's in the home because and then it's unconscious. But like, if you were not blessed to be in a family that showed a good financial example, and you're an adult and you have the ability to say, hey, I didn't grow up from the best family.
Yeah.
But now I want to change my money mindset. I want to see what the possibilities are when it comes to positive finances, when it comes to building wealth, when it comes to experiencing financial freedom. If you can make that conscious decision, then you can go onto YouTube. You can go to the library and look up books. You can go on Audible and look up books. You can go look at videos, documentaries, whatever it is. There's so many resources now, and there's so many people out here that you can look to say, I'm using them as a template. I'm using them as an example.
Yeah, you know? And even the Bible.
Bible, yeah.
Seeing what God believes about money and how scripture talks about money. Looking at the men that were before us, Solomon was very wealthy.
Yep.
Abraham was wealthy, you know, David was wealthy. These were kings, you know, and people that just had a lot of money. I mean, Abraham wasn't a king, but he was a very wealthy person in cattle, and, you know, that was an agricultural society back then.
Yep.
So I think it's just so good to know that even the God that we serve doesn't view money as this negative thing.
Right.
It's actually a positive thing. I even think about how when you have money, you're able to help expand the kingdom in different ways. You're not limited. We were listening to this thing that Myron Golden said the other day. It was so good.
Yeah.
He was like, a lot of times we look at money and it's our money or lack of money that makes decisions for us. If you don't have enough money in your account and you want to go fly, you know, give your family a vacation, your money just told you no, or your lack of money just told you no. And hearing him say that was so crazy because I was like, I've never actually heard someone say your lack of money makes decisions for you, but that's so true. Right, and I never want us to be like that, where, because we don't have enough money, there's something that we want to do or something we want to give our child, and we can't do it because the lack of money basically made the decision for us.
Yeah. And I even think, like, when it comes to our faith, who wants to worship a God that allows his people to be broke?
I wouldn't say allows. Ooh, that's tea. You know, the prosperity gospel hunter is going to come for us. No, I think maybe allows isn't the word, because I think that's.
No, it's allows.
Is it allows? Because at the end of the day, it's up to us.
It's our choice, yeah.
Yeah, so he's going to allow whatever we walk into or choose.
That's allowed. So he allows us to prosper, and he allows us to be ignorant, to remain ignorant, and be broke.
No, but because you said, who wants to worship a God that allows?
No, I'm saying that in the sense that our experience is not reflective of who God is, but to people from the outside looking in, they look at us as a reflection of God.
Oh, so you feel like they're looking at us like, who wants to worship a God that allows their people to be broke?
Right. So
okay, I see what you're saying.
As struggling Christians, if you're a struggling Christian, you're out here trying to minister to people, and people look at you and they say, man, like, that's not enticing to me. Like, maybe like your family health and your family wealth and your community and relational wealth is there, but your financial wealth is not there. Like, that might be a turnoff for them.
Yeah.
Versus it's like, why not have every area of your life healthy? And why not have wealth in every area of your life? Okay,
so even you saying that, I think is impactful for some people listening, because I know for me, I recently had a conversation with my best friend, and I was telling her, I was like, the Bible says that in this world you will have trouble, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world.
Yep.
I was telling her, I'm like, the way that I receive that scripture is, can we really have it all?
Say the scripture again.
In this world you will have trouble, but be of good cheer.
Okay, stop.
I have overcome the world.
In this world you will have trouble.
Right.
Did the translation say, in this world you have money troubles?
Wait, let me finish. You didn't let me finish. So I was talking to her, and I was telling her, mind you, at this point in time, I still haven't done the deep dive, the childhood, none of that, okay? So one of the things she said to me was, you know, she was exposed to a couple of friends or mentors that they have in their life. And she was saying they've always told them, you can have it all. And they appear to have it all. The mentors appear to have it all. No one's saying that they never had any issues. There's no tribulation. No one's saying that. But basically, they have wealth in every area. And her saying that to me was just so eye-opening, because I was like, whoa, wait, we really can? We can. And that's so much how you think. She thinks that way. You think that way. And I think you just even saying that is just really impactful for people, essentially, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, 100%. You can have wealth in every area of your life, I believe. But it takes a conscious effort.
And it takes you believing that.
It takes you believing it, yeah. And taking the steps forward to fulfill every area of your life, yeah. To get filled up in all those areas.
This is really good, because I love that we're just tackling beliefs, you know, because I know that a lot of what we're saying might sound jarring to somebody that views life through the lens of scarcity, or has been broke all their life, or struggling all their life. But we really believe that what you believe about money will determine whether or not you obtain more of it.
Yep.
And if you want to obtain more of it, you need to change how you see money and what you believe about money.
Yeah.
So what are some beliefs, babe, that you feel like people should walk away with after this podcast?
So a belief that I see a lot of people hold, I think that holds them back, a lot of people have that holds them back, is that money is a limited resource. People think, hey, there's only so much money out there in the world, and the rich hoard it, and the big corporations are the only ones that get to have it. And that's just it. Like, my lot in life is my lot, and I've been given this lot. And I think that's just completely false and completely wrong. Money is an unlimited resource. First off, money, like, the idea of money is just made up anyway. The value of money is not in what's written on the paper. Like, if I have a $100 bill, it's not innately worth $100.
Like the paper itself.
Like, the paper is not even, the paper might be worth a couple cents, like that the money is actually printed on. But it's worth $100 because we as a community, we as a country have agreed that this piece of paper that's really almost worthless is actually worth $100.
Yeah.
And so money is actually like a belief, like even just physical money is valuable because we believe that it's valuable.
Yeah.
And so I think money is not just a replenishable resource, but it's I'm not trying to say.
You're trying to say it's unlimited, like
unlimited,
we can have access to it.
Yeah. So yeah, money is an unlimited resource, and like literally it can be printed off. If the government wants to print more money, they can print more money off. So money is just a holder of value, right? And so if you can create value, if you can provide value for others, then you will create opportunities to receive money.
Yes.
And I think there's unlimited problems in this world. Literally unlimited problems. And where there is a problem, there is an ability to create value.
Right. And everybody's life and experiences are so different. So your life experiences have tailored you to be the kind of person that can solve a specific set of problems. There's going to be problems that you can solve that I cannot solve. There's going to be problems Elijah can solve that some other people cannot solve. Like, he's an excellent teacher. He has an excellent teaching mind, and he's a great pianist. So what's the problem he's solving right now in the world is he's helping people become better pianists by teaching them and breaking it down and make it more simple. That's the premise of his business, Gifted Hands Music. Shameless plug. But, I think that I would never be able to do that. One, I can't hold a note on a piano. I don't know how to play the piano.
Sing one, girl.
Okay, chill. I don't know how to sing. Nothing at all. Yo, that song has us in a chokehold. Okay, shout out to Transformation Worship's album. But yes, I cannot play the piano, and I don't think I'm a great teacher by any means. So whatever, debatable.
With what you know, yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like
you are.
I wouldn't be able to do things the way that he does them and help the people that he's called to serve. So we're saying that to say the value you provide to the world is what problems you can help solve. And
how did God create you?
Exactly.
What are your experiences? What is your expertise? And how can you use all of those things, your experience, the way you were made, your skill sets, to create value and to solve problems?
Right, exactly. So there's that. I also, one of the things that I wanted to touch on that you said to me the other day was, you do not have to work hard to make a significant amount of money.
Talk about it now.
Man,
talk about it.
I'm telling you guys, like, that is so life-changing for me. And I know it's true because think about it. There's people out here that, you know, they speak, they deliver a message, they go up. Yes, I'm not saying they didn't prepare. I'm not saying they didn't write it out, but they went up, delivered this 30-minute, 40-minute keynote, and they're getting paid thousands of dollars for, let's call it maybe 20 hours of work. I don't really know.
True. Some people can get paid. I think keynote speakers, they can get paid $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 for an hour speech.
Even more.
Yeah.
And what is the value that they're bringing is they're communicating and using their voice. And that is just such a high level of value because you're able to use your experiences, use the answers that you've come up with to help other people solve their issues.
Yeah.
And that's not by any means manual labor or general labor job, you know, where you're like working super hard in a warehouse.
Yeah.
So him saying that and giving me actual examples, and even hearing Myron Golden, we always talk about Myron Golden, like we love him, but even hearing him talk about, you do not have to work so hard to make a certain amount of money. Do we believe in the principle of working hard? Yes, we definitely do.
And there are seasons where
that's required, but there are also seasons where you will just reap the fruit of the work in past seasons and all of that stuff. So I think that's really important for us to even walk away with, because just knowing, for me especially, just with that childhood experience that I had where I felt like I worked hard and didn't reap the fruit of my rewards, was just really helpful, you know? And I have relationships with people who I feel like they work hard, but it's not like hard, like what I'm thinking, like, you know, manual labor, and they make good money. You know, they have time for rest. They have time to enjoy.
Yeah.
They have time to work. They have time for their kids. It's just more of a well-rounded life. And I think if we can believe that we can have that type of life, then we can
have that type of life.
We can have that type of life.
Yeah, and 100% I agree with what you're saying. And even I think this came up in the conversation that we had. And we're living so many examples of that playing out in life right now. Like, even this week, I have not worked hard in my business this week.
That's true.
In the last week. And I was able to make 5 figures in a week. And even when we were talking about this, it was like, bro, I remember in college, I worked at like a UPS factory, worked at Target for a little bit. And I remember when I was working at the UPS factory, that was probably one of the hardest jobs that I've ever had in my life. Like, and plus I was going to school full time. So I was going to school during the day. I'd get off maybe 2, 3 p.m. in the afternoon. I'd go to work for like 4. I'd work from like 4 to 10, pretty much every day, 4 to 10, 4 to 11, something like that. 5, 6 days a week. And I was slaving. And I remember like I would probably make $600 every 2 weeks, something like that. I'm like, bro, I'm slaving for nothing. Like to just be able to pay my rent at the time, to be able to, you know, buy myself some food and whatnot, and then to be able to go to school and buy books, whatever I needed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, that was some of the hardest work that I've ever done. And I was still struggling. Like it didn't amount to much. So
right.
Like we've lived that.
I also think it's important to make a key distinction here. For this specific belief of you do not have to work hard to make money, it's very important that we realize that that comes with skill and level of value. So for example, Elijah just used the example of, oh, the last week I didn't work hard, you know, but I was able to make 5 figures. Well, yeah, that's because he has a great level of skill when it comes to his job, like being a piano player and a teacher. And also he has a skill in his business as a CEO and a marketer and a salesperson, you know? So there's just that's
even more important.
Yeah, there's all these skills that he's acquired over the years, and then the level of value he's offering people. So I'm not saying right off the bat you don't have to work hard, because he's actually worked hard.
You probably are going to have to work hard.
Yeah, you're going to have to work hard. Yeah. What we are saying is that when you get to a certain level of skill and value, you do not have to work hard to receive money.
And I think leverage is more important than hard work when it comes to making money, because I think when we think of hard work, we think of doing things ourselves, using our own hands, using our own mind, using our own time and physical resources, right? But when you have leverage, whether that be money, whether that be like employees and like human capital, whether that be like technology, whether that be an audience, you can make more of an impact with less effort.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you have leverage, you can make that more of an impact. You can reach more people. You can do more things with less time, with less energy, with less effort. And that can equate, if you're providing value, that can equate to more income.
Yes, exactly. So there are two more beliefs that I had come up with that I feel like would be really, really helpful to the listener or watcher. One of them is that you need to start believing that the money possibilities and abundance also flows to you. It doesn't just flow to others. So a lot of times we'll see other people that are really successful and making good money, and we'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense for them. Yeah, that makes sense for them because it's only reserved for a select few people, you know, maybe because they have this specific talent or they have this specific gift. When that's not true, I really believe that it's also about what you believe about money. And if you believe that you can create opportunities for wealth, then you will create them and the wealth will come eventually, you know? So I think that's very important. And then also the other piece is...
Can I chime into that?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Because I think what you said is really good. And I also think that some things may be true, but they may not be truth. So like people actually might, like what they're seeing might be true in the moment. Like you might not have the skills or the leverage or the tools to make more money. But the truth is, what the principle of the matter is, that we all have the abilities to learn the skills, to gain the leverage, to find opportunities that will provide wealth, that will provide financial freedom. And so I think you just have to make sure that you're weighing truth over your situation, you know? And then, because if you make the distinction and you just make the decision to move forward, like whatever it is, like baby steps, whether that's reading a book, whether that's finding a coach, whether that's finding a mentor, starting a business, starting to look at your job and figure out, all right, what other job opportunities are there for me in my corporation? Like, where can I get a promotion at? Like just taking one step at a time to move forward.
That's really, really good. Yeah, I really, really love that. I think the other belief that came to mind was also what you believe about money is ultimately what will determine whether or not you obtain it. And I said that earlier in the podcast, but I just really want that to hit home, and I want to leave that belief with you guys because it's really about mindset at the end of the day, because our beliefs are ultimately what creates our actions or our inaction. And a lot of the times the lack of money in your bank account is reflective of your lack mindset or reflective of your scarcity mindset. And I think
reflective of your abundance mindset.
Exactly.
If there are
finances in there, you know, and I think it's just important that we're constantly upgrading our mindset and doing the work when it comes to that with our money. And I think we're going to constantly have to be doing that at every level.
Yeah, 100%. And so there's a scientific term for this. I don't remember what the term is, but I think it's like your reticular activating system or something like that. Is whatever you think about or whatever you believe is the lens that you view life through, right? So a lot of people use the example of you decide to buy a Jeep Wrangler and then you start to see them all over the place, right? Or you start to buy a Beamer or something and then you start to see more and more of them on the road. It's like, if you have positive beliefs about money, then your like subconscious mind will start to look for more opportunities to make money. So it's like, even just the belief starts to open up opportunities. Not that they weren't there, but that just you weren't looking for them, right? And the lack of belief, or your beliefs that there's a lack of money, will confirm that, like you said with the confirmation bias earlier. It's like, if you believe in your heart that wealth is only for evil people, or if you believe that you have to be born into wealth, or if you believe that like you have to be like, you're not intelligent enough to make money, whatever that negative belief is, then you are literally going to close off so many opportunities. You're going to naturally close off so many doors. You're going to close off relationships that could benefit you and that could get you to another level financially.
So good. And I agree completely.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we should wrap up this podcast because we've been running our mouths for quite some time. So, babe, the way that we end every podcast is we ask each other why the other person is our muse or their muse or whatever the language is this week. So, babe.
What's up?
Why am I your muse this week?
Baby girl, you are my muse because...
Why am I giggling?
Because when we got married, you did not believe in a budget.
No, for real.
You did not believe in debit cards. You only believed in credit cards.
Okay, I had a debit card. Don't listen to this man. But there wasn't a lot of money in there, okay?
This girl only ran on credit. But now, hey, she is reformed. She is transformed. And my wife will pull up the budget before I do many months.
It's very true.
So you are continuously financially educating yourself. You're continuously improving in this area that we're talking about here. And so that's why you're my muse.
I love that. That's so sweet and so true. But honestly, I have you to thank for that, babe, honestly, because if it wasn't for you, I don't know where I'd be with money, okay? Like, I don't know. But
you still be wealthy.
I'm grateful for you. So you're my muse. Well, actually, you have to ask me.
Yeah, babe, why am I your muse this week?
So you're my muse because of just the way you think. You're such a brilliant thinker.
Oh, thanks, babe.
I'm so grateful for you because you are constantly teaching me how to think differently. And I know that if I have a mindset that is rooted in lack or scarcity, I can go to Elijah and he will literally take the roof off, take the ceiling off of that belief and help me to see it completely differently. And I'm really grateful for that because I have needed you to do that so many times in our marriage. So I'm grateful for you. Thank you.
I love you, baby.
I love you too. All right, guys, that is the end of this podcast. Let us know what you liked from this episode. And please make sure that you subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. And if you are just listening on Spotify
download
or
that bad boy.
Apple
download
Music.
This episode.
Yeah, make sure you download, make
Apple
sure
Podcast.
you rate, and make sure, did I say Apple Music?
Yeah, you did.
I meant Apple Podcasts. Wherever you're listening, please just make sure that you download, leave a rating and review if you can. And we're just thankful to be back with you guys. So see you at the next episode.
Peace.
Bye.